This is William K. Murtaugh, Witness 1, and welcome to the Wednesday edition of the Mobile Fan. Now, today, Field McConnell is spending another day being babysat by his son because he decided not to keep his big mouth shut, and also decided to hook up with Timothy Charles Holmseth. Now, the documentation came out last night having to do with the fact that Field McConnell did have to shell out $10,000 and also mortgage real estate. Now, the details aren't there as to who actually put up the $10,000 and whose property it was that was mortgaged. Because remember, Field McConnell's house is in the middle of foreclosure. Foreclosure is coming through by the end of June at the latest. Field McConnell has not met the terms of the probationary period that was put into place that would allow him to retain the property. Plus, the house has a lien on it by the Internal Revenue Service, which means it would not be wise of the bonding company to mortgage Field McConnell's house as collateral because they would be unable to collect. The IRS always comes first. And so do all the other creditors, since the majority of the creditors that have liens on the house are tax authorities. Now, either the bonding company got a little careless and didn't do their research, or someone else put up a house to be mortgaged. And that someone else would probably be the son. Because I rather doubt that Field McConnell had $10,000 in cash sitting around to pay the bondsman his fee for the bond. $10,000 that neither he nor his son will get back. That money's gone. That $10,000 is down the toilet, along with however much it's costing Field McConnell for this lawyer, or in this case, probably McConnell's son, since Field McConnell doesn't believe in lawyers. And in the midst of all this, I brought up a few things in a couple videos I did, and rather than Tim Holmseth responding to the points I made, he gaslit me again with the fake chats. Now, I have done, I don't know how many blog articles on this. I don't know how many links that I put up. I don't know how many challenges I put up for Mr. Holmseth to contact law enforcement, and they could clear the matter up for him in a heartbeat. But he persists. And it persists because this little rat that cowers in the corner has no other option other than to gaslight me over something that never happened. And Timothy shows that he is a little bit jealous of me, where he put up 1 of 5 times that I have been on the news. Mike DeForest, WKMG, interviewed me. And, of course, at the end, the reporter thought it was a little creepy, I guess you could say, that I had the ability to do what media does, and that is to transmit while on the road, live, while mobile. Now, at the time, no media outlet was doing what I was doing. And I had to play catch up real fast. It's amazing how fast news media outlets can go around and copy other people's methodology. But that's what Channel 6, Channel 9, and Channel 2 did. And there's actually a couple funny stories. Now, when Casey Anthony was acquitted of her charges, she decided to immediately leave Orlando. And we had a little bit of a OJ style chase here as people from the news media, including Channel 6, decided that they were going to follow Casey Anthony to the airport. And that's exactly what they did. And it got to a point where the Anthonys actually went under a bridge to try and thwart the helicopter. Unfortunately, they were being followed by people on the ground in news vans. Not me, because I was busy at the time, but mainstream media like Channel 2, 6, and 9. And one of the news companies actually wrecked one of their vans because they forgot to put down their satellite link tower, and it got hung up on the bridge. So that was kind of an interesting sidelight. But the fact of the matter is the Anthonys were chased around in a creepy fashion, just like Tim Homestead accused me of doing. Yeah, that's a little hypocritical on the part of the mainstream media, and it's also rather hypocritical that Tim Homestead would use the mainstream media, the purveyors of fake news, as a source for his material. But this is Tim Homestead after all. And Tim Homestead once again has used material that has been shown by law enforcement to be counterfeit, to be fake. And I post now this Twitter post that went up recently on, of all places, his handler's Facebook page. And then people would see this tweet and say, oh no, President Trump didn't say that. He didn't post that. You can't go to his Twitter account and find that. And I said, oh really? Well, it's on Facebook. It's put up by the handler for the person that is supposed to be the spokesperson for the Pentagon Pedophile Task Force, so it has to be true. But now they discount it. They say, no, Trump didn't say that. It's fake. But I thought you couldn't fake stuff on the internet. Tim Homestead has come out time and time again that said that the chats used against me are not fake. So if the chats against me are not fake, then this tweet by Donald J. Trump can't be fake. But the simple fact of the matter is the tweet by Donald J. Trump is in fact fake. It is made up. Just like the chats against me are made up. You can't have it both ways. Either material can be faked on the internet or it cannot. And law enforcement has told Tim, I know this for a fact, that he did once check with law enforcement and they did tell him that the chats are fake. They're counterfeit. It was impossible to create them. Computer forensics at the department have looked at those chats and said that they are not real. But Tim refuses to report that. Just like Tim refuses to post the so-called letter that I sent him. He's accused me of sending letters of a sexual nature to him, yet he's never published it. Because it doesn't exist. And he's waited so long that it would be impossible to forge the letter in a convincing manner because of information that you would have to provide to prove that the letter was genuine, because it never existed in the first place. There was never any letter of any sexual nature sent to Tim Homestead. It's not wise to have any contact with Tim Homestead because he takes whatever you say and do and he tampers with it. The Leanne Kruger recordings that he puts out there is proof of this. Tim Holseth is a liar. There is no such thing as a Pentagon Pedophile Task Force. Period. Now, speaking of liars, rather amusing story has been going around the last few days. It seems one of these QAnon morons published an article where they claim that Oprah Winfrey's house was raided. The one down in Boca Raton. And that there were caves under the house. Now, I never laughed so hard in my life when I saw this article. Because I'm from Florida. And I've been to Boca Raton quite a few times. I know the area. I know Singer Island. I know the area on South Spring Drive where this other house is located. Now, take a close look at this picture that this conspiracy theorist from QAnon put up. On the right, you have a picture of a condominium. Okay. On the left is supposedly a cave that's under the house. Now, notice that in the picture on the left, it says house. The picture on the right is not of a house, it's of a condominium. A condominium is, in simple terms, an apartment inside of a large building. It is not a house. A house is usually a structure, standalone, on a plot of land. Now, the idiot that put this on her Facebook page is supposed to be a licensed real estate broker. It is alleged that this idiot owns a condominium in Florida. You would think that this idiot would know the difference between a condominium and a house. Now, there's one key point that this conspiracy theorist missed when she made up this little hoax, but more on that later. Because in a rebuttal of sorts, apparently somebody saw my little debate that I've had with this idiot who proclaims to be a professional real estate broker, and they posted that they went by the South Spring Drive residence of Oprah Winfrey. And what do you see when you go to South Spring Drive? You see this house. Not a condominium, but a house. Now they put, oh, here's the house. It's not fake news. Alright, take a close look at the picture of the house. What is that blue stuff in the background? I think it's called water. Now, anybody that knows anything about Florida knows that that part of the state of Florida is at sea level. That means it's roughly even with the water or a couple feet above it. You don't drill in Florida. You build up. Now let's go back to the picture of the cave. Now, there's a couple things about the picture of this cave that you might want to study. One of the things you might want to study is the fact that it is a pretty damn big cave. and somebody has made a wine cellar out of it. Now, take a look at the picture of the house that this cave is supposed to be underneath in the state of Florida. Notice something interesting. Again, the house is at sea level. This cave that is purported to be under Oprah Winfrey's Florida property would have to be at least 100 feet underground. Because if you're going to dig a hole 20 feet in diameter under the ground, you want to make sure that it's not going to cave in on you. Now, there's no superstructure around this cave. There's no beams or anything holding it up. It's a hole in the ground. Where's all the water? How does Oprah Winfrey keep all the water out of this enormous cave? Oh, I'm sure the science fiction QAnons could come up with a million explanations as to why there could be a cave in the state of Florida. And I'm waiting for someone to come up with a rather obvious example, because I'll debunk that one too. But I ain't going to say what this obvious example is until some idiot posts about it. But, at the subject at hand, we're supposedly have this house raided because Oprah Winfrey is accused of sex trafficking, child trafficking, pedophilia, and all this other bullshit. And the proof of it is apparently this big-ass cave under her house in Florida, next to the Intercoastal Waterway, at sea level, at water level. Now, this is where I'm going to give everybody a lesson in geology. Florida, South Florida, is one big island. It can be defined as an island, because once you go down at most 5 feet in the state of Florida, you're underwater. You could actually go out with a pick and shovel and in 2 days dig yourself a well. Or you could go out and you could rent a commercial drill and drill yourself a well. That's how high the water is here. Or you could do the easy thing and stick a pipe in the water. Stick a pipe out into the Intercoastal Waterway and just suck the water into your house. Florida has water all over the place. And most of the water is in what we call lakes. Now, Florida has a rather unique thing that happens that creates all these lakes. We have more lakes than Minnesota with their 1,000 lakes. They're called sinkholes. Now, why do you suppose we have all these sinkholes? Well, we go back to geology. Science. Something these QAnons apparently don't believe in. We have something called limestone here. If you go out and you buy your detergent, you're going to have an ingredient in there called phosphate. And phosphate comes from Florida and states like it. And Florida has a combination of phosphate and limestone. And these two things have a problem with water. They dissolve. And if you have water rising and receding and rising and receding often enough, and then the water table goes down, you get this big hole in the ground. And the problem is, limestone does not make a very good cave, and neither does phosphate. And so what happens is if you put enough weight on the roof of one of these things, like a house, they cave in. And the net result is they're going to eat the house. So common sense would dictate the last thing you want to do is dig a big hole under your house. Because you ain't going to have a house. Especially one that's 8,000 square feet. Such as Oprah has. And also, since the conspiracy theory did not use the picture of the house, but used instead the picture of the condominium, you would have to believe that the owners of all these condominiums in this building are going to give Oprah Winfrey permission to dig a big fat hole under their condominium. Condominiums that cost around $2 million a piece. Right. So that's mistake number 1 and mistake number 2. Now mistake number 3 is the picture that was used. Now, the conspiracy theory, or the conspiracy theorist, did a little bit of lying by omission, and she probably didn't think somebody like me was going to take the time out to research her little article. But the problem is I do. Because my mission in life is to expose these kinds of hoaxes. I've done it for years. I've exposed Holmseth dozens of times on the various lies that he made. And I'm exposing this lie. And the lie is that the pictures that this conspiracy theorists put up were not taken in the state of Florida. They were not taken anywhere near the state of Florida, unless the state of Florida has annexed the state of Colorado. Here's the backstory that Randy Erickson and his conspiracy theorists don't want you to hear. Roughly 5 years ago, Oprah Winfrey built a house in Colorado. And while the house was being built, she bought herself a temporary house. Now, the house on its property had an old gold mine. Now, a gold mine is a hole in the ground. You start out usually on the side of a mountain. You blow up an extremely hard rock, and you dig yourself a big hole, and you extract the gold or silver or whatever else you're after in this mine. Now, it could have been a silver mine. I didn't go that far, but it was a mine. And included the fact that this was a mine, that there's a mining cart in one of the pictures. You know, if you're going to create a hoax, don't leave clues that it's a hoax. Do your homework and edit it out. Now, the conspiracy theorist tried to do that. Because the conspiracy theorists, they put up this picture. And Oprah Winfrey buys house with wine cellar, big cave, good place to put all these kids she's trafficking in Florida. Except for the house is in Colorado. And how do we know the house is in Colorado? You go look on Google, and you find the article that this conspiracy theorist stole the images from. Did a little bit of plagiarism here, because if you take a material from a copyrighted page, you're supposed to cite where you got it from. The conspiracy theorist didn't do that, because the conspiracy theorist didn't want to have her lie exposed. So we have a house in a mine in Colorado being written as if the house is in Florida. This is a fraud. This is deception. This is a lie. And this is why I have such an issue with QAnon. Now, a lot of people that come to this channel believe in QAnon. And we get into arguments because they try and tell me that there's things about QAnon that are true. They even tried to make an excuse in the comment section of my previous video as to why they believe that Oprah Winfrey might be guilty. And one of the things that these QAnon people brought out was that Oprah Winfrey had an association with Harvey Weinstein. Well, QAnons, if Oprah Winfrey is guilty of being a pedophile and child trafficking because of some past association with Harvey Weinstein, then explain this picture of Donald J. Trump, his wife, and Harvey Weinstein. The fact of the matter is, if you are in the entertainment industry or have been, you are going to have an association of some kind with Harvey Weinstein, whether you're a Democrat or a Republican, because it's the entertainment business. Donald Trump taped The Apprentice in Hollywood. That makes him a Hollywood elite because he's a multi-millionaire. So if you're going to start doing this guilt by association crap and put the guilty stamp on Oprah Winfrey, you're going to have to put the guilty stamp on Donald J. Trump, because there are pictures of Donald Trump, dozens of them, with Harvey Weinstein as well as Mr. Epstein. So, if you're going to start tossing mud pies around, make sure you get everybody in on the fun. Now, Oprah Winfrey was forced at 2 o'clock in the morning to come out and say this is all bullshit. That she has not been arrested. None of this is true. And it's a bunch of bigoted, racist QAnons that are spreading these rumors. And it was a bigoted and racist alleged real estate broker that put this on her Facebook page. Now, this is what is really weird about all this, is that Randy Q. Erickson, being a licensed real estate broker in the state of Florida, or at least she claims to be, should have noticed that this was a fake post. That we don't have ore mines in the state of Florida. We do open pit mining down here for phosphate. We dig holes in the ground, but we don't dig caves because of one 5-letter word: water. You put a bunch of kids in a cave in Florida, they're going to drown. It's happened. People go scuba diving at Silver Springs under the caves that are eaten there by the water's flowing through it because they're made up of limestone and phosphate. They're not safe. If you drain the water out of them, they're going to collapse. And sometimes they collapse while you're diving around in there and people drown. Now, while we're on the subject of lying, this licensed state real estate broker also shows that she has a complete lack of the understanding of the law, as well as a blatant inability to get her facts straight. Now, Randy posted a document on her Facebook page. And she claims that this document proves that both Timothy Holmseth and Bill McConnell should have their cases dismissed. And she cites the fact that the paperwork involving the case was sent to the wrong court. This is what you normally call an administrative error, one that gets corrected almost immediately. Instead of posting the entire case, which is sealed, by the way, she posted one document. And we're supposed to believe that this is a genuine document. Now, there's a problem with this document, other than the fact that she's completely wrong, and that is that Randy Erickson copyrighted it. And Randy Erickson apparently doesn't understand what a copyright is. And in the most basic terms, copyright means that you created the material shown in the publication. You own it, you made it. So, since Randy Q. Erickson copyrighted the document that she purports to be from the court, since she used the copyright, that means that it did not come from the court. She created it. She made it. She put her name all over it. That's what a copyright means. It means you are the author of the material. Now, you cannot copyright material that belongs to somebody else. That's plagiarism. And it's also public information. It's an official piece of paper. Now, I've seen this done before. And the problem with it is you don't copyright official documents. They're not yours to copyright. They belong to the court. The court generated the document. It's their document. So since Randy Erickson put a copyright all over this document, that means it's her that created it and that it is not a genuine document. It wasn't generated by the court. Doesn't matter if it was or not, because her interpretation of the document is completely wrong. And this is why. First, the document was in relation to the first charge that was brought against Timothy Charles Holmseth. Timothy Charles Holmseth pled guilty to the charge. He admitted to violating the law. And he was put on probation. The second time he was charged, he was convicted by a jury of his peers, men and women chosen at random. To hear the case, they swore to the court that they would do so without violence, and they found Timothy Charles Holmseth guilty as charged. So he was convicted and sent to jail. And while in jail, he was not threatened, he was not killed, he was not cloned. Timothy Charles Holmseth is very much alive. So that's another lie, that if Timothy Charles Holmseth goes to jail, he's going to get killed. That's already been blown up. That's the first half of this little mess. The second half of this little mess is that this document was generated in 2011. That was 9 years ago. This is 2020. Now, even if we were to go back to when the injunction against Phil McConnell was made, this was in 2019. 8 years after this memo was generated. So that means that the memo that Randy Q. Erickson misinterpreted doesn't apply to Phil McConnell. because he was given a separate injunction for what he did and what he said. And that is why Phil McConnell is charged with a felony instead of a misdemeanor. Because he threatened violence. He threatened to have her killed by remote, by advocating that someone else carry out his desire to see her dead. So that is why Phil McConnell is sitting in jail and why his charges will not be dismissed based on a 9-year-old memo posted by Randy Q. Erickson. And this is why Randy Q. Erickson does not know her ass from a hole in the ground. Because she doesn't know what she's doing. She didn't get Timmy Holmseth out of his little bind. I mean, I remember the classic recording that was made of the argument that Randy Erickson had over the events leading up to the August trial. And she was pretty well shown where she was completely wrong on that one. And she knew she was wrong. That's why she had made arrangements for Timothy Holmseth not to show up in court because she knew that he would lose. That it was not because the court was crooked, but it was because Tim Holmseth was guilty. He's already admitted it once. I mean, that's the problem with Tim Holmseth. He does not admit when he's wrong. He just plows right ahead, in spite of whatever. And when you corner him like a little rat, he gaslights you. And this is what he's doing to me. He has taken stuff that was debunked 12 years ago and using it as a distraction. A little shiny object over here to veer you away from the truth. Because Timothy Holmseth is scared. He's scared of being exposed. He's scared of the truth. Because he knows someday this is all going to come out. You know, he can hide all he wants. But someday, he's going to have to get up in a court of law, put his hand on the Bible, raise his hand up in the air, and swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And if he believes in God, since the last lines in most of the oath to tell the truth is, "So help me God." If he lies in court, not only has he committed perjury, but he's also expressing that he does not believe in God, because he will lie to get himself out of whatever trouble he's in. The problem is, for Tim Holmseth, is the evidence is there. It's in writing, and it's in his own words. 12 years of it. And the first question that would be answered and asked in court would be, is there such a thing as the Pentagon Pedophile Task Force? Tim Holmseth would be asked this under oath in a court of law. See, Tim Holmseth has been bragging about all this stuff for over a decade, and he is yet to testify under oath. See, it's one thing to get on a blog, get on Facebook, get on BitChute, YouTube, claim all this stuff. But it's quite another when you slap your hand down on the Word of God and swear to tell the truth, so help you God. Makes a big difference, especially if you lie under oath. Because people don't take someone to trial unless they got evidence to back up the charges that they're going to put against somebody. And so when Tim Holmseth gets into court and has to swear under oath that what he says is truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, he better tell the truth. Because they're going to have the proof to show that he's a liar. That there is no such thing as the Pentagon Pedophile Task Force. That Timothy Holmseth is not, never has, and never will be a press secretary for a government agency that involves the President of the United States. And that Timothy Holmseth has never met the President of the United States, has never spoken to the President of the United States. He did not get his MAGA hat from the President of the United States. He has lied about everything. Period. I don't care how many times he puts up the fake material and that Randy Erickson backs him up with this gaslighting and this defamation and slander that they put out. It's not going to change the fact that he's a liar. And it's not going to shut me up. This stuff has been out there for 10 years, 12 years actually, and the damage is already done. I don't care how many times they put that crap out there. The simple fact of the matter is, I'm not going to get shut up. I'll keep repeating this over and over and over again. So Timothy and Randy might as well get used to it. You're either going to start putting up the proof to back up your lies, or you're going to shut up and close shop. I doubt the latter's going to happen until the handcuffs come on, which they will someday. Because you keep digging yourselves into a deeper hole. The federal government can only tolerate so much, and they're going to put down the hammer. If Timothy Charles Holmseth really thought that he could prove that he was the press secretary for the Pentagon Pedophile Task Force, he would go to court and prove it. He wouldn't hide behind conspiracy theories and some licensed real estate broker to bail him out by making him a gigolo of sorts or something, to where she brags about giving him tens of thousands of dollars, fixing his transmission, buying him a car, feeding him, housing him, so on and so forth. And there's this sightseeing tour. So we'll see. You know, the longer this goes on, the worse it gets for the two of them. I have nothing to hide. Of course, Randy's hoping that I get the coronavirus because I'm 69 years old. And that I take that eternal dirt nap. It might happen. But my YouTube will be out there, as other social media is out there. And there's other people that carry on the fight. Because there's people out there in the world that believe in the truth. They believe in honesty. You know, they know a lie when they see it, and they're going to expose it. So you may shut me up someday by wishing some disease on me or having somebody kill me. But there's others out there that will pick up the torch and they'll go ahead. And the inevitable will happen, that these people will get exposed. And so as long as I'm still breathing a breath of fresh air and not fighting the ravages of a virus or dodging the bullets from fanatical Holmseth followers, I'll post online. So, I end this with wishing everybody well, God bless. Hope you dodged the bullet on the coronavirus. Take the proper precautions. So until later, this is William K. Murtaugh, Mert Witness 1. Have a good one.